Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take a massive stack of sources and, well, give you the distilled insight.
That's the plan.
And today, we're undertaking one of our most fascinating explorations yet. We're cracking open Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically text 7.2.14. Now, this ancient verse, it's not just some historical story. It seems to contain what our sources call the demon's blueprint.
Yeah, it's quite something. A detailed, really systematic plan for basically dismantling society.
Wow.
It's an unnerving read, frankly, because it's just so calculated. We're looking at pure strategic chaos here.
Strategic chaos.
But the great lesson, I think, and the reason this text is so vital today, is if we really understand the strategy for chaos,
Right.
well, then we hold the key to its counter-strategy.
Reversal.
Exactly, the precise plan for reversal. This isn't just abstract philosophy. It's like social engineering, both the destructive side and, crucially, the constructive side.
And this whole conflict, this blueprint, it seems driven by one core tension. The sources quote it like this. The highest goal of human life is to please Lord Vishnu, right?
Right.
But the demoniac element, they simply plan to kill Vishnu and be happy by sense gratification.
That's the fundamental split.
That tension.
Yeah.
Pleasing the divine versus just pleasing the senses. That's the engine driving this whole thing.
Absolutely. So we thought we'd structure this exploration into three main parts for you.
Okay.
First, let's meticulously dissect that ancient external blueprint, the systematic destruction laid out right there in text 14.
Got it. What?
Then second, we have to look inward. What's the source, the internal mirror, that fuels this destructive urge?
The why.
Exactly. And finally, the constructive part,
Okay.
outlining the three-part counter-strategy that can actually restore balance.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's unpack this blueprint. Hiranyakashipu's campaign. It started from rage, didn't it? Revenge for his brother.
Yeah, the motive was deeply personal, absolutely. Lord Vishnu had killed his brother, Hiranyaksa.
But the execution, that wasn't just blind rage. It was chillingly methodical. It shows a real understanding of how civilization actually functions.
Completely. He understood theological warfare, and the insight was, you don't necessarily fight the supreme being head-on.
How so?
You cut off the supply line. Think about it. If Lord Vishnu is ultimately pleased by the system of devotion, and the demigods, the sort of universal administrators running nature, rain, sun, cosmic order, if they are sustained by that system.
Then you attack the system itself.
Exactly. Destroy the ecosystem of piety that sustains them all. You weaken the whole divine infrastructure.
That sounds incredibly sophisticated. How did he figure he could, starve the demigods or mess with the weather? What was the mechanism?
That brings us right to the concept of yajna, sacrifices.
Okay.
In the ancient Vedic view, the universe runs symbiotically. The demigods distribute nature's gifts, but they are sustained. They're satisfied by these yajnas, these selfless sacrifices, performed by the knowledge keepers, the brahmanas.
Like a cosmic feedback loop?
Precisely. Perform the yajnas properly. The demigods are pleased. They provide rain, abundance, balance.
If you stop them?
The demigods become unsatisfied. The natural balance collapses. Famine, strife.
Yes.
It follows. So Hiranyakashipu's order was brutally simple. Eliminate the practitioners of yajna.
So it's not just like a religious attack. It's an attack on the ecological stability, the economic stability, the whole foundation.
Yes, and the specific orders in text 14 really bear this out. They list the targets. Pura, grama, vraya, ujjana, ketra, orama, akaran. Cities, villages, pastures, gardens, fields, hermitages, mines.
Everything supporting civilized life.
Everything. But the strategy really zeroes in on two specific pillars, absolutely essential for maintaining the knowledge and the fuel for sacrifice.
Which are?
Protection for the cows and protection for the brahmanas.
Okay, why those two specifically?
Well, the cow provides essential sustenance, milk, and crucially the ghee, the clarified butter needed for the fire sacrifices.
The fuel.
Right. And the brahmanas provide the intelligence, the spiritual knowledge, the know-how to perform the yajnas correctly. Destroy those two. You neutralize the spiritual core instantly.
And beyond the spiritual side, the targets were so broad. Pasturing grounds, fields, hermitages, even government capitals and important mines.
Yes, the mines are key too. It shows it was also an economic and resource war.
How so?
Those mines produced valuable metals, often used for, temple construction, making deities, ornaments for the brahmanas, things reinforcing the spiritual culture.
So destroy the mines.
And you starve the spiritual infrastructure of resources. Plus, you divert any remaining wealth towards his own massive materialistic projects. or just render it useless.
You know, the one target I find most philosophically revealing, why burn the gardens, the udyana, cities, mines, okay, strategic, but simple fruit trees, flower gardens, why bother?
Now that gets to the heart of the demoniac mindset, doesn't
Isn't
it?
so specific?
It is, because what do gardens produce? The simplest offerings. A leaf, a flower, a fruit, some water, patron papa fala toya.
Things anyone could offer.
Exactly. And the Supreme Lord explicitly states he accepts that, just that simple offering, if it's given with pure devotion.
Okay.
The demoniac mindset hates simplicity. It cannot tolerate the idea that the highest truth, the ultimate connection, can be achieved with just a handful of flowers and sincere love.
Because if the ultimate goal is that accessible, that simple,
Then their entire complicated, violent, status-driven empire of materialism is suddenly pointless, redundant.
right, their whole game relies on complexity.
Precisely. Their home turf, so to speak, demands complexity, status, massive effort, material chasing. By destroying the simple means of devotion, they essentially force everyone onto their playing field.
The message is everything worthwhile must be complex, expensive, difficult, won through struggle.
It enforces their worldview. It forces everyone onto that material path of, perpetual striving and competition.
And the sources connect this ancient command directly to, well, modern issues like indiscriminate resource use.
Yes, very strongly. They draw a parallel with modern demoniac civilization, as they term it. The destruction of forests for, say, unnecessary industry, often producing paper used for, well, what the sources call demoniac propaganda and unwanted literature.
Huh. So it's the same impulse.
It's the modern version of kadana priya, those who are fond of disastrous activities. The goal hasn't fundamentally changed, instead of prioritizing simple, essential living and higher knowledge.
The drive is towards excessive complexity, industrial output, mostly just fueling sense gratification and potentially moral decline.
It's the same systematic attack, really, just
Yes.
updated. Shift resources away from simple spiritual development towards external complex entanglement.
That's quite a connection. Okay, so the external blueprint is horrifyingly systematic.
Yeah.
It's a symptom, right? The sources push us inward. Where does that destructive urge, that need to enforce complexity, actually come from?
Right, and the sources are very clear. The external destruction stems from one core internal confusion,
Which is?
being completely absorbed in the bodily idea of life.
Meaning, identifying with the physical body.
Exactly. The fundamental mistake of thinking this temporary material body is the self, instead of seeing the self as the eternal spirit soul within the body.
And if you think the body is all there is.
Then the whole plan gets corrupted from the start. Remember the quote, kill Vishnu and be happy by sense gratification.
So, because the self is misunderstood as temporary and physical, happiness must also be temporary and physical.
That's the logical conclusion it leads to, which results in this massive, exhausting, ultimately destructive external project trying to satisfy something materially that can never be truly satisfied materially.
It sounds incredibly anxious and maybe envious.
Definitely. It creates an anxious, envious existence, constantly chasing external validation because there's no solid internal anchor. And that anxiety, insecurity, breeds the aggression we see reflected in text 14. Our sources use a great analogy for this, the internal battle of the two dogs.
Yes, I think I know this one. The good dog and the bad dog.
That's the one. Inside, you've got the good dog representing our divine nature, the impulse towards kindness, service, devotion.
And the bad dog.
That's the envy, the selfishness, the aggression, the very impulse driving Hiranyakashipu's whole destructive campaign.
So, text 14 is like the world reflecting what happens when you keep feeding the bad dog.
Literally.
Huh.
It's the external manifestation of that internal choice. And critically, this bad dog mindset thrives on fault finding.
How so?
Well, if your internal world feels messy, lacking, you tend to project that outward. You become hypercritical of the world of other people. And, most relevant here, you reject simple, quiet solutions. Why? Because they don't match the level of complicated, painful effort your ego thinks is necessary.
So the moment someone suggests, say, a simple act of devotion as the path to peace.
The bad dog mind flares up. No, that's too easy. There must be a catch. I need a huge project, intense austerities, something difficult to deserve happiness.
It demands complexity because complexity justifies the struggle, the aggression.
Exactly. It justifies the whole material chase. That's why understanding this internal mirror is so vital. You can't really dismantle the external blueprint without starving that internal destructive impulse first.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us then to the counter strategy. If the destruction was systematic, targeting foundations, knowledge, simple devotion.
Then the reversal has to be equally strategic, essentially inverting the blueprint.
Rebuilding what was torn down.
Precisely. The counter strategy directly targets the foundations the demons attacked. We can break it down into 3 main action items: systematically rebuilding.
Okay, let's hear them. Action 1. This would counter the burning of hermitages, the attack on the brahmanas, the knowledge keepers.
Yes. How do we reestablish that spiritual root, especially now, in an age where those ancient, complex Vedic rituals are, well, mostly impractical for the average person?
Good question.
The reversal strategy recommended for this age embraces the simplest and most accessible sacrifice: Sankirtana yajna.
The chanting of the holy names.
Exactly. That's presented as the prime method for reviving spiritual culture now. And internally, the counter is prioritizing self-realization jhana, consciously rejecting that core illusion: I am this body.
So, simple chanting externally, internal clarity about identity.
That simple internal shift is the first step away from the whole destructive external project.
Okay, action 2. This must relate to the physical world, countering the attack on fields, forests, cows, protecting the foundation of life.
Spot on. This means upholding cow protection, go-raksha, as a fundamental pillar.
And that's not just like sentimentality.
No, the sources frame it as representing a commitment to a peaceful, sustainable, land-based civilization, where resources are used respectfully. Indiscriminate animal slaughter is explicitly called out as a key sign of a demoniac civilization.
Because it shows disrespect for life and squanders essential resources needed for simple living.
Precisely. It disconnects us from the source of sustenance.
And that principle extends to trees and forests, too. Conscious resource management.
Absolutely. The reversal involves avoiding unnecessary destruction, period. Performing our work, the concept is yajna karmano, doing work as a sacrifice. Meaning work done for the greater good, for the satisfaction of the divine, not just churning out stuff for sense gratification that leads to, well, mountains of waste and ecological damage. The whole goal here is to demonstrate plain living and high thinking.
Plain living and high thinking. I like that. It perfectly flips the demonic script of complex living and low thinking.
It does. It means embracing simplicity, not necessarily out of poverty, but out of wisdom, realizing that endless material accumulation doesn't actually lead to happiness, and that preserves resources for everyone and for nature itself.
Okay. And finally, action 3. Countering the burning of cities and capitals, how do we reverse that culture of sense gratification and envy? How do we cultivate devotion?
This brings us right back to the ultimate purpose. The highest perfection of life, the sources say, is to please the Supreme Lord, Hari.
Pleasing the divine.
And that pleasure is found in focused, intentional service. It means serving with meticulous attention to detail.
Why the detail?
Because the understanding is the Lord is pleased not just by the offering itself, but by the intention, the care, the dedication behind the service, even if the offering is materially very simple.
Like the leaf, flower, fruit, water.
Exactly. And crucially, as part of this, we have to actively reverse that demonic tendency we talked about, the fault-finding.
Ah, right, the bad dog's habit.
We have to consciously cultivate appreciation. Instead of feeding the bad dog by constantly picking at faults in the world or in other people,
we nurture the good dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
By focusing on others' good qualities, actively looking for ways to uplift and encourage, not tear down. This culture of appreciation is like the social balm that heals the wounds left by envy and aggression.
It's actually incredible how systematic the solution is, mirroring the problem. That whole complex, destructive machine, burning down a simple garden to build some huge, complicated factory, it's rendered powerless by simple, unalloyed devotion.
Simplicity is the ultimate strength here, like stainless steel, as one source puts it. Unalloyed means free from material motives, not doing it for status or prestige or power.
Just pure intention.
Right. The Lord is pleased by that simple offering, leaf, flower, fruit, when it comes from that sincere, selfless place. You just don't need the complex, status-obsessed structure of the demoniac world to reach the ultimate goal.
What really stands out now is how personal the stakes are for anyone listening. Reversing this blueprint isn't just about, cosmic politics. It's about our own true self-interest, our svartha.
Absolutely.
Escaping that anxious cycle of competition and just finding genuine, maybe quiet peace. That battle described in text 14, it's an internal choice we're making constantly, every day.
It really is. If the highest goal is pleasing the divine, And the demoniac goal is fundamentally to destroy everything that makes that simple pleasure possible. Well, then we really have to examine our own priorities, don't we?
So maybe here's the provocative question we can leave you with, something to think about.
Sure.
What gardens or hermitages in your own life, these symbols of simple, pure dedication, contentment, what might you be inadvertently burning down today? By maybe prioritizing complexity, chasing status, demanding struggle, instead of making space for quiet, simple devotion?
A powerful question. And just remember the inherent power in simplicity itself. Devotional service is, at its core, simple. Krishna accepts our intention, our sincerity. There is really no material impediment, no external circumstance that can stop us from pleasing Krishna if we genuinely want to. Not lack of money, not lack of status, nothing can interfere with the power of genuine, simple dedication.